Hey there. This is just a really quick video uh, that where I'm going to talk about how we look for data quality issues that occur in claims date fields in claims data sets. So claims data is longitudinal. It has a bunch of date fields that you can use to do longitudinal analysis. Longitudinal analysis being like looking at sequences of events that occur over time, like if a patient takes a particular drug, do they have better or worse outcomes over time? So there's lots of key date fields in claims data. You can read on knowledge base about those fields and like idiosyncrasies about what usually occurs in those fields. What I want to show you is um, how we a quick way we found to identify data quality issues in these fields. There's different types of data quality issues that occur, but the two big ones are kind of like one is like missingness. So you'll have like date fields that are just missing in the data, and the other is just like dates that just don't make any sense. They just occur like really far in the past or really far into the future. Um, and so in the Tuba project, we created a table, um, and that we created a model that builds a table, and you can find that model in the Tuba project in the Insights folder. The model is called Count Claim by Date column, and if you query that table, the result set looks like this. And so basically what it does is for your enrollment data, which we've created member months from, and all the other date fields that are kind of key date fields in claims, like claim start date, claim end date, admission date, discharge date, the paid date on medical claims, the dispensing date in pharmacy claims, and the paid date on pharmacy claims. It all this model does is it counts the number of distinct claims that have dates in different year month combinations. So this is the snowflake represents this as it thinks it's a number, but really it's just the year month. It's the year 2016, and it's the month 01 or January, and this is the year 2016 and the month February 02, and so on and so forth. Um, and this is just created for every year month in your data set. And then really all this is doing is saying like, do I have any claims in that with dates that fall into that year month. So in this data set, which is the Medicare LDS data from calendar year 2020, there's 20 claims in the data set that have an admission date that is in the month of January in 2016, and there's 18 claims that have an admission date that falls in the month of February in 2016, and on and on and on. Well, the bulk of the data, if I can close this or maybe make this a little bit easier to see, the bulk of the records are all going to fall in the calendar year 2020, and that's what you see here. So all the membership data is strictly in the calendar year 2020, which is what we would expect. So that's good, and it looks pretty uniform. Like this is roughly 3.1 million patients, plus or minus 10,000 here or there across every single month. So what's interesting about what does this let me see that's actually interesting? So lets me see the eligibility data looks like what I would expect it to look like. I also immediately see I have no claim start date. Claim start date is not present in the data set ever. Now I've worked with the LDS data a lot. I know that's just an artifact of the data set. Um, on the other hand, claim end date's well populated, and admission and discharge data are well populated. Interestingly, admission date actually goes back, like as we saw a minute ago when I was describing the table, it actually goes back pretty far. Um, these could just be people that have been in an institutional facility for a long time and are still in there, and that's when they were admitted. So not necessarily any sort of problem. But oftentimes in claims data sets, you'll see dates that are really strange, going back really far, like into the 1970s. And it's like when you see something like that, you're kind of like, okay, that's weird. Um, Another thing I noticed is I have no medical paid date and no dispensing date information and no pharmacy paid date information. There's just no pharmacy claims in the LDS data. Um, I stopped this data in, I limited this query so it wouldn't show anything past 2020, but there were actually a few claims that did go into the future, which was a little weird to see. We can't show that because of the data use agreement with LDS. We can only show statistics that are comprised of more than 10 records. So those were like some ones and twos, like very small numbers of records. We can't share that information. Um, but yeah, if you run, so if you want to use this, if your data, if your claims data is mapped to the Tuba project, you can query this table and it'll give you a snapshot of your kind of the key date fields and show you where you might be having some data quality issues. Hope this is helpful.